numerology report, right? Concerning the Google engineers. And in that, one of my favorite stories popped up about Oshun. It has nothing to do with the Google engineers. That's coming. But it was just a random thought. There's a story that discusses Oshun trying to get to Aldemari, and in that, Oshun, she kind of gets tore up on the way to Aldemari, right? Gets burnt up on the way to Aldemari. She still survives, but she makes it to Aldemari, but she went through hell and high water to get to Aldemari. This is one of my favorite stories in Ifa. There's a lot of individuals that make it to Aldemari that's Oshun energy that's not really willing to get tore up to get there. They play with the other elements in order to get there, and they're not trying to get there. You're not willing to get tore up to get to Aldemari. Oshun was willing to get tore up to get to Aldemari to pass a message. Definitely one of my favorite stories. Now, when most people speak of Oshun, they speak of physical beauty. That's what they speak of. But if you really get deep into Ifa, right, Santeria, any of these systems that deal with Oshun, it's not just an outward beauty. It's a discussion of acknowledging your beauty in general. Is what I come to understand. Is a discussion of that. Why? Because there's people that are quote unquote not physically, or to society considered physically beautiful, but they still receive their Oshun, right? So therefore, Oshun is not just a discussion of physical beauty, but is a discussion of inner beauty, inner potential beauty. Now, in Ifa, there's two stories. One where Yemaya is the sister of Oshun, and another where Yemaya is the mother of Oshun. There's two stories. Does it make it inconsistent? No. It's showing you how these energies work in two different positions. So when Yemaya was the mother of Oshun, right? Everybody was trying to guess the name of Oshun in order to court her, or to become one with her. Yemaya didn't give it up, so they all ran off to Eshu. Eshu typically being seen as a trickster, but that's in a different aspect, because Eshu pops up in different aspects. Eshu pops up as a child. There's a path of Eshu that pops up as a female. There's a path of Eshu that pops up as an elder that tells great stories, likes children, so on and so forth, right? So in this, the Orisha, they had to go to Eshu to kind of try to figure out what Oshun's, to get some assistance about what Oshun's name was, so that Yemaya would kind of like, oh, okay. Now, I'm not telling the story exactly the way it's written, but I'm just giving you like a brief. Then you have Yemaya as the sister of Oshun. this is, people look at the names, or this is a discussion of energy. This is discussion of salt waters in conjunction with fresh water. When you go into the other story, is, the Yemaya is the mother of fresh water. And here we have Eshu, who deals with, earth energy. It deals with copper. It deals with the sweets of the earth. It deals with memories, stories, tapping in gates. Yeah, that's what it deals with. So when we look at the Orisha, most people are gonna just deal with the names and the actual physical properties of them, not understanding the rock means something, the water means something, the dirt means something, the quarry shells mean something, the colors mean something, the ocean means something, Olokun means something, Shango means something. Not talking about, not trying to break down the shoes, but even in, you deal with Shango. Shango, he danced and he chose to keep dancing. He chose to be a part of the physical reality. His motion is non-stop. That's what dance is a discussion of. It was non-stop motion. We do not stop moving. Ever. Even in one of my other favorite stories, when you talk about Ogun, all the Orishas was down here G-macking like it never happened. They was chilling. They was trying to figure it out. Right? But they still had to call Ogun, who in that particular time, technology, was sword-like. And what did he do? He came through and he cut everything down. He cut everything down so that the other Orishas could go into the earth or be amongst the earth and build. Period. This is a regular study. Now, when you're dealing with other Orishas, you talk about, Oya, Oshun, Ogun. Oya was supposed to be the ladder of it. That's a different energy. In certain systems, Oya stole lightning from Ogun and made it her own. But there was a beef between Oya and Ogun, right? There was a beef between Oya and Oshun, excuse me. There was a beef between Oya and Oshun. There was this competitive energy between the two. We talking about the winds and the fresh water. There was a beef between that. Now, supposedly, and according to the stories, Oshun caught favor. But was it right? Oya lost the ear. But was it right? One could cook and the other one couldn't. But was it right? Did Ogun make the right choice? I'm not questioning the system, but did Ogun make the right choice? When you're thinking about these systems, when you're thinking about these Orisha, you're thinking about the actual elements that we deal with in reality. You dealing with fresh water, salt water, the depths of the ocean. You dealing with the sky. You're dealing with the air. You're dealing with fire. You're dealing with all of these elements. Period. There's systems that say, that do not speak of the female path of Obatala. But there is a female path of Obatala in another system. Most people are not going to pay attention to that. Most people, they're going to say Eshu is a masculine energy, but there's a female path and difference in another system that states that Eshu has a female path. So, when you think about these things, it leads you to think like, thus far I have not seen a female path as far as Shingo is concerned. I have not seen a female path as far as, Ogun is concerned. Not saying that there's not females that are Ogun, because there are females that are Ogun, but they mask, or they function mostly in a masculine principle. So that's what I'm going to just say about that. That's my own personal view on it. I'm not saying that it's right, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, but that's my own personal view on it. Just so that, those who play with the Orisha, who play with the saints, who play with the Loa, they understand that I understand. Even when you're dealing with the Loa, there was agreements with those particular coaches dealing with the Loa. Let's talk about wars that took place where, a particular coach went to the Loa and said, hey, listen, this is the problem. They didn't hold up the end of the agreements, and so, they dealt with the centuries and decades of the repercussion. It's the same thing in Christianity, it's the same thing in Islam, it's the same thing in Ifa, it's the same thing in Santeria, it's the same thing in Voodoo, it's the same thing in Houdon. Now, Houdon's slightly different, but when you're dealing with, Houdon is a discussion of transferring energy. Well, Hoodoo, that's saying, not Houdon. But Hoodoo is a discussion of transferring energy from one thing to another. I'm not going to get into the particulars, but it's really a manipulation of the subconscious mind. Period. That's something that people have to go look into and study on their own. But these are the things that I'm thinking about. Like, even when I'm doing, the numerology report on what happened with the Google engineers. They're Chinese, so I go into their system a little bit. I have not mastered their system, but I have no problem with looking into their system, right? I look into the year of the dragon. I'm looking at 2024. We looking at Mars. I didn't get into it yet. But these are the discussions. One can study, I study all systems. But I gravitate towards another. In studying, it shows that Ifa respects Islam. But I don't see Islam respecting Ifa. And this is why it's always Ifa for me. Because how am I accepting? How does Islam discuss and say that there's no divination, but they're saying cutting in and so on and so forth? If you go back into history, I just read it again just to make sure I wasn't bugging, but in the 1800s, it still existed. And Ifa respected their form of divination, so there was sand cutting for Islam. But this is why it's still Ifa for me, regardless. These are things that we have to think about. Once again, I probably said this already, but, all systems is in place to reach a particular point. That's what the pyramid is. You reach a particular point of enlightenment, understanding, and knowledge. It's annoying. It's annoying. And without knowing, I've even encountered the annoyance of it. Could you imagine? Here I am at my age right now, but could you imagine going to somebody that's damn near 100 years old, having a debate about something? At the time when you having a debate, it's like, oh, this is a brand new debate. It's never happened in history. Could you imagine going to somebody that's 99 years old, that's 100 years old, and having that debate? A, a unconscious individual is gonna say, oh, this is a brand new debate. It's never been heard of. And so there's some, he or she needs to resolve it, right? A conscious individual is going to realize that we're having this debate amongst a person that's 99, 100 years old, god damn it, and he already or she already heard the debate. Do you know how stupid an individual, excuse my language, how stupid an individual, this has happened in my reality, to go to somebody that's 90 years old, 95 years old, 99 years old, and have a debate, to walk away looking like a damn fool because the debate is not new. It's the same thing as spirituality. The debate is not new. The argument is not new. The knowledge is not even new. That's why they say there's nothing new under the sun, because it's not new. So let's get it clear. There's been plenty of times the sky has felt like a fool. I have been blessed. The Ashe has been given, where I've gotten to debate about some stupidity in front of a 99-year-old individual, in front of a 100-year-old individual, to have to walk away looking like a damn fool. It's nothing that can be said. This is the beauty of life. The irony of it is that at my age, compared to that individual, I'm extremely young. And to walk away knowing that I just had an argument or a debate or any of that, right? That has already been heard a million times over. It forces you into understanding that the argument is stupid. The debate is stupid. The conflict is stupid. It makes no sense. And so, the conscious person in the debate ends up walking away feeling like a damn idiot. I felt that plenty of times. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm telling you that it's a weird ass feeling to go before a 99-year-old individual with an argument, and you have to walk away realizing that argument has been had like so many times in that individual's life that the argument is not even valid. So it's pointless. The unconscious is offended, and the conscious is like, well, what are we arguing for? Because without word, I'm not 99 years old, but what I've experienced from a person that's 90 something years old is that, no disrespect, but you're just simply stupid as fuck. Because the result is gonna be the same thing. That's how ridiculous it is. It's aggravating to be my age, go through all the things that I go through. I already know what the results is going to be, because I already had the argument before somebody that's like 90 years old, and it's always the same result, and it's always the same answer, and it's a pointless ass argument, and it's a pointless ass debate, and it's a pointless ass friction in reality. Could you imagine? Most people cannot imagine, but could you imagine saying, "Oh, I'm arguing over a bill," before a 90-year-old who has come to an understanding that the bill does not have more validity than your sanity? Could you imagine that? I've experienced it so many times that I haven't even wanted it. That's how bad it is. This is how real it is to be like 90 years old. that you can experience this same thing with this same 90-year-old to the point where you don't even want to experience it no more. That's how it is. Could you imagine going to a 90-year-old, be like, listen, we beefing over, example, we beefing over a phone bill. And he looking at you like, Holmes, I'm 90 years old. You know how many phone bills I've seen, and you know how many fucks I don't care about your phone bill or my phone bill or Holmes' phone bill around the corner. You beefing over a phone bill when there's multiple phone companies to go to? That's how stupid. And this is why elders are necessary. Elders sort out conscious and unconscious. The conscious is going to realize, do not call a 90-year-old individual about a phone bill. He done seen a billion of phone bills, could care less about the phone bill, and know the phone bill really doesn't have validity. If this company don't want to give you a phone, the other company's going to give you a phone. What are you frightened about, and why are you arguing? You understand? Like, it's that simple and that complex at the same time. This is what I've experienced in my life, to the point where all arguments are stupid. All debates are stupid. To the point where I don't even want to argue. I don't even want to debate because I've been made to look stupid before somebody that has been on the earth 3 times longer than me. It's the most annoying feeling on the planet. For me, anyway. It's the most annoying, agitating feeling that could even come into place to this day. And this is why there's people that surround me that they fuss about things. They fuss about money, you fuss about this, you fuss about rent, you fuss about that, you fuss about that. Housing is important. Rent is important. Transportation is important. Being healthy is important. But if you bring it to somebody that been on the earth for like 9 decades, it's definitely gonna be a glitch in the matrix that remind you that your ass stupid. Excuse my language. And that's how many times I got my feelings hurt. Infinity. Dealing with an elder. Dealing with somebody that age. Even when I was a little teeny tiny going to school, in school, it was individuals that you're supposed to be a teacher. Oh, she can't read. She has dyslexia. And you go to the elder and he like, ain't nothing wrong with her. She just ain't beat. So now I'm going to prove it to you, and I'm going to say, I'm going to wait until she nags the living hell out of me. I'm going to wait until he nags the living hell out of me about something. And then I'm going to provide it with all of the same tools. And she's going to come back and she's going to read at college level. That happened in my life. Like, I refused. I wasn't beat. I didn't care about being, Jack and the Beanstalk and this one and that one and the other one, right? This is real life, real spill. I didn't care about any of that. It was not of interest to me. I was over concerned about how do you get the little input boxes on the computer screen. And when he realized that I was like aggravating the living life out of him about these little computer boxes that go on a screen, and this is so far back, like this is D-Base 3. I don't even know about that. And I'm not even that old, but this is how young I was, and this is how far back it went. It was like, I'm not gonna tell you nothing. You're gonna keep aggravating the living hell out of me about how you get these boxes, right, on the computer screen. I'm not gonna tell you anything. You know what he did? He didn't go to the children's store and buy, and I'm guilty of this, but he didn't go to the children's store and say, okay, well, I'm going to get you a little kid book on D-Base 3. No, he said, I'm going to take your ass to Barnes & Nobles. I'm going to get you the most complex book I can find, and you're going to figure out, and if you don't know the word, then you're going to call me on the phone, you're going to spell it out, and I'm going to tell you what it is, and you're still going to figure out how to put the box up there. You're still gonna figure out how to do the hello program. You're still gonna know how to do the light bulb program. You're still gonna learn how to program. This went so this went so far. This went so far that after that, I got back to school. I'm reading at college level. This is no lie. Got back to school reading at college level because I was so agitated trying to figure out how the hell he got these little boxes on the screen. And I'm going to show y'all. These boxes look like this. I'm doing the numerology report so y'all know. But I'm going to show y'all just for fun. The boxes literally look like this in D base 3. This was the boxes literally that I was fussing about. Okay, this is what I was fussing about the whole time. And then you have the name tag. This is how long I've been programming, right? This is what I was fussing about. This little line right here is what I'm fussing about, which got me to reading at college level. This is the truth. I'm not even gonna make it up. After that, I got to the college level, but then I got into a glitch, right? Because now I'm trying to figure out how do I bring information. This is programming, and it still goes on. How do I bring, name, number? This is basic. This is like the telephone program, right? So you got name, number, address, creating an address book, info, right? This is SQL. ID. I'm just showing y'all for fun. This is how reading got started for me. I don't know everybody else, but this is how reading really got escalated for me. I had to figure this out. This little teeny tiny box. This still goes on in reality. This has grown into algorithm. This has grown into statistical data. This has grown into this. And I kept missing this part. ID. I kept missing this part. How do I drag all this information in, bring it into another box? Right? Bring it into another box. This is before the reading though. And say, I don't want that. I just want this. And now we into the sort. Now we into sort. Now I just want the name, the address, no info. I just want that. The ID. I'm showing y'all programming right here. Basic programming. I'm showing y'all basic programming right here. This still goes on even on the internet. But they moved on to, secret keys and so on and so forth. This goes on the internet. It took me 2 years to figure out. And I still had to call him. And he still didn't give me the goddamn answer. I'm not even about to hold it. He still didn't give me the answer. It took me to realize that there was a relationship. And this happens in spirituality too. There was a relationship between these IDs. And this is where this algorithm concept comes from. There was a relationship between these IDs. This ID number 1, 2, and 3 becomes 1, 2, and 3. And so I get to sort now. I get to sort with this 1, 2, and 3. And so I get to tell this SQL database that I only want to pull name and address from this SQL database. This how real this is. Mind you, I didn't go to school for this. This is the power in believing that you can do anything. This is basic programming. This is back in the day programming. Now this, as life grew, so did technology. And so, I came across a great programmer in D-Base. D-Base 2, D-Base 1, D-Base 3, This is probably before y'all time, but I was just a little kid and I was programming, right? In that, it came a time where I watched him program for, most of my childhood. He programmed. And then there came a time where I got to sit next to him while he was programming. And I said, hey, the server gonna crash because now we going into another aspect. We going into the server because now, and this all coincides with spirituality, whether you like to believe it or not. Now we got the server, right? The server is able to hold all of these things. Is all of these databases, all these SQLs, so that your computer does not have to hold it. Right? It's extra space, extra time, extra space. That's what the server is. It's able to hold a mass amount of information. Cool. System crashes because you're dealing with an older language. And this happens in reality. You're dealing with an older language. This language, in computer life, it takes up a lot of space. And so, regular systems can't hold it. Server can't hold it. So now we're going to move forward and we get into C++. We get into C++, A+. They all based off of DBase3, off of DOS prompts. They all based off of that. The language is very similar, slightly different, except for now you able to pull from the internet. Now, when I started programming, you had to dial up. AOL was the primary. You had to dial up. You literally had do. Literally. Like, literally. You had to have a whole entire separate phone line and it was a mess. It was a mighty mess. It was just a hot mess. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to you. It was a mess. When you get in, this is just the visual, and this is just, the alphabetic result of programming. But when you get behind all of this, it was all ones and zeros regardless of the fact. Right? So now we moving on and we get into HTML. We get into spreadsheets, HTML, cascade and style sheets. This is all, it already existed in spiritual reality. Cascade and style sheets. What is that? You simply able to write a particular code and then call it all day. Like a phone call. The same thing in spirituality. And this is why I say, in certain systems, they already had this on Smash. It was already on Smash. If you go into E5, if you go into Santeria, they deal with ones and zeros. It was already on Smash before this. And this is why I like Santeria. This is why I like E5, because it was already on Smash. The concept of pulling information, most people, they program it and they type it in words and they type it in codes and you type it in if and you type it in the clause and you type it in blah, 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 blah. You're doing all of that. But behind the scenes, it still translates into the ones and zeros. So now that you bring it into mind you, let me go back real quick. Because we had one individual that was stuck on their DBase 1, 2, and 3. It crashed. So there was another individual from China that was brought in. And he said, I'm going to update it. That crashed. It crashed. Why? I don't know. What was the difference? He was able to maintain it and keep growing it. Not being biased, but that's what happened. I had the luxury of sitting with both of them and looking at both of them like they was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And so while looking at them while they was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I was able to create a whole another program that did not crash. But I was only able to operate, but it did not crash, and it saved a lot of people's jobs, and it saved a lot of asses, and it's kind of saved my ass a little bit for a little while. But that's how it go. Once we realize that the whole universe is based off of the ones and zeros, as we as human beings can understand it, and we understand that even when you get into artificial intelligence, when you get to the root, it still has to deal with the ones and zeros of the universe and try to match all the denominations of the ones and zeros. And so does databases, and so does SQL, and so does HTML, and so does cascade and style sheets, and so on and so forth. They all still have to boil, because computers don't understand nothing but ones and zeros. They do not understand anything but ones and zeros still. And this is why I say the mind is like a computer. Not being funny, but I say that all the time. The mind is like a computer, and the computer and artificial intelligence still has not mastered it. Why? Because they have not mastered the universe. The universe is still endless to humanity, and so therefore the mind is still endless to humanity in real life. Now this might sound like gibberish, but this is actual facts. You can find Mars in the mind. You can find Pluto in the mind. You can find the moon in the mind. You can find Jupiter in the mind. You can find the Milky Way in the mind. In the literal mind. When people start, and guess what? When I was a little kid, my uncle used to say, "What you want to be when you grow up?" "I want to be a brain surgeon." Did I become a brain surgeon? No. But I still studied the brain. I still studied the mind. I still was interested in it regardless of whether I chose to be a brain surgeon or not. And he never told me that I couldn't be a brain surgeon, whether I wanted to be legally a brain surgeon or not. Right? You can find all of the elements of the universe in the mind. You can find another earth in the mind. Literally. And this is how we got into mind mapping as humanity. Mind mapping. You're mind mapping, but those on a minuscule scale, they're mind mapping for the purposes of dominion and control. Where if you really raised your frequency and you want a higher element, higher frequency, higher thought, then you realize that you can find your way to the Milky Way through the mind. You can find another Earth through the mind. You can find Mars through the mind. You can understand how the universe and the stars work through the mind, because it's literally the same as so as a human body. All of that is the same. All of that is the same. It's people that go to college to try to figure this out. Is what you went to college to figure out what I figured out for free? I'm just saying. Spirituality, numerology, astrology, the ability to tap in and understand that energy is forever in motion, and so that we are, even when we are, you have groups of individuals that's consciously able to tap into energy, and then you have groups of individuals that tap into energy and have no conscious awareness of it at all. You have systems that say, oh, if you are consciously aware of it, it's sin. And then you have other people that say that, oh, if you're tapping in and there's no conscious awareness, there's no sin. No, that's not how this works. Everybody in today's time is using computers. You're tapping into some form of energy. You're running a business. Your business is going to run off an algorithm, artificial intelligence, and statistics. It's always been in place. Without a computer, the universe still deals with algorithm, vibration, statistics, like-mindedness, emotions. It still runs off of these things. So, is there anything new under the sun? No. Not at all. And so this is why I just showed you a little short little map of programming. It's the same thing with the internet. If you go all the way back to MySpace, there was people with regular MySpace pages, and there was people that was able to do HTML to create special MySpace pages. People sit on Facebook all day, but most people don't realize that Facebook was created first as a closed environment to college students. It grew out. Most people sit on Instagram all day, but they do not realize that Instagram was created for artists. People who did paintings and arts and, that kind of thing. That's what Instagram was for. People don't know that. I'm not really sure what Twitter was for. I'm going to just say it was a news feed. But that's what Facebook was. Facebook was initially created by a college student or somebody that was in college, and it was supposed. And how do I know? Because when I first tried to register for Facebook, I couldn't even get a username and password because it was for college students only. It was about being able to connect college campuses together, from what I was told. It took me a whole nother year to get a damn Facebook. This is back when Nokia was popping and you could change your face and make it Tweety Bird and so on and so forth. This is how far back it is. Now, when Instagram came into place, as far as I was told, as far as I saw, it was for people that were artists, people who were painters, people that were sculptors. That's what Instagram was for. People don't know this, but that's what it was for. These things grew over time. And as it grew, we had artificial intelligence put into place. Now, artificial intelligence, let's keep it 100. It has already been out of control. It's out of control. It's lost control. How do you know? If I'm sitting in the house thinking about a Kango hat and then I get online and it's nothing but Kango hats, then I know that artificial intelligence has gone wild. Literally. It's just that simple. Did I ever think that there was a time that artificial intelligence would go out of control? Well, there's things that's been put in place for us to see to let us know that artificial intelligence is going to be out of control. It is out of control. Period. When algorithm can be lined up with natural vibration, it is out of control. When algorithm can be lined up with the natural activity and motion and movement and thought and feeling and everyday activity of a human being, then it's out of control. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. And in order to get it into control, you have to go all the way back into basic programming, to the basic understandings of the ones and zeros brings. And then and they don't understand that it's scientists that are renowned in science that are currently discussing things that were already discussed before Christ. Before Americans knew who Aldemari was in real life. How'd that work? Which is just a simple reminder that there's nothing new under the sun. There's no thought new under the sun. There's no emotion new under the sun. There's no feeling, new under the sun. There's no form of love that's new under the sun. Why do they say that? Why is that saying even in existence? There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. I'm Team Ephi all day. But for those who are Bible thumpers, if you go all the way back in time, then you're going to realize, like I said on Facebook, that S-O-N is S-U-N. How do you know? You're going to say, oh, there's no astrology. There's no numerology in Christianity. Oh, that's a whole lie. If you go all the way back to the original King James 1611, you're going to see all of the zodiacs in there. You're going to see numerology. You're going to see certain acts that's supposed to take place on certain days and certain seasons according to certain zodiacs. So there's no argument there. And if Islam is coinciding with Christianity, then they simply stating that these things are facts. And so that's why it's team E5 for me all day. Anyway, I'm about to see y'all in a minute because I'm still pondering on this numerology with the two Google engineers and stuff like that. But for those who like computers, those who like programming, those who are interested in artificial intelligence, those who like that, let's go all the way back in time. Let's go all the way back in time, because I can go all the way. I can't go all the way back in time with you, but I can go further enough. I can go IBM with you. I can go Apple before Apple looked like how Apple looked. I can kind of go there. I can go there with you and kick it with you. I can go Apple big face, when you have an Apple computer. And first off, I can go small IBM with you. I can go when IBM looked like this. I can go when IBM looked like this with you. This is what IBM looked like. It was that small. Literally. I can go there with you with IBM. I can go when Apple came out and Apple was like this with a bubble butt. And there was an apple in there. And I can go that Apple with you. I can go that IBM with you, right? I can go that IBM with you. I was there for many of the advances of IBM and Apple. I can go all the way there with you. FYI, it's a whole entire privilege to have access to that. I can go there with you, and I can discuss the growth of both. Let's discuss it real quick before I get off of here. IBM's, those are PCs. They ran off of DOS prompts. Apple was real with they shit, though. Excuse my language. They was real. They was like, listen, you got Windows, you got AOL, you got this, you got that. This is how ridiculous it is. Apple said, hey, Apple users want to use Word. Apple said, okay, you can use Word. You're going to contract with me, and I'm going to make Word according to this, and you don't have no access to it. That's how real this is. That's how far back I can go with you, where Apple had decided that they was not giving any access to their framework whatsoever, but you can contract with Apple in order, for them to, approve work. They didn't have no access. All they could do was make an agreement. That's how real Apple was. I can go all the way back into Apple, where Apple ended up in court because Apple wanted to, and I'm not taking no sides. Apple wanted to protect the people. Apple got drugged to court. This is what people don't know. Apple got drugged to court literally because they did not want to release personal information, and they didn't want to participate in releasing the information of people's phone records and stuff like that. Apple went to court for that. I'm not taking no sides, but that's public knowledge. They might have tried to delete it, but it's public knowledge. And that actually happened with Apple. Even though I'm still an Apple user, don't get it twazzled, but that happened with Apple. I can go that far back. And because I'm able to go that far back with, IBM, DOS prompt computers, and Apple, and so on and so forth, I'm able to tap into spirituality and the elements and understand that in order for them to create these things, in order to create, artificial intelligence, you have to be able to understand the air. You have to be able to understand water, the earth, the depths of the sea. You have to, don't ever sleep behind the wheel on that. Don't ever sleep behind the wheel on it. Don't sleep behind it. In order for them to master Apple in DOS prompt or PC, they have to figure out how to master the human mind. The problem is when they decide to try to master the human mind, and it's other companies in place, but I'm talking about, primaries right now. in order to master the human mind, you have to respect the human mind. The human mind is going to always elevate because it's natural. Period. You can get any type of artificial intelligence you want. It will never trump, once again, and I said this prior, it's never going to trump over the natural mind. Every time artificial intelligence tries to trump over the natural mind, the universe jumps the natural mind. Period. It's just how it works. And it's been proven because if, and I'm not artificial intelligence at all. If you tell me I can't read, and in the summer I can read and then program and understand SQL and understand, bringing, data from one end to the other end and coding and so on and so forth, and the whole summer, then you're incorrect about the human mind. You're incorrect about the human mind. And it's so there's people, there's elders, there's leaders that they try to eliminate or try to downplay, who promote the power of the human mind in real life. Could you imagine getting up every day, taking your child to school, and they telling your child that they can't read because it's a struggle, not realizing it's really more so an interest issue? How does that work? You have a whole system that backs you in so-called statistical data that backs you, that states that this child cannot read, but I can leave for a summer and come back and read at college level, so your statistical data is not right. Your statistical data is being imposed upon the child, and so therefore the child believes it. Fortunately for me, I was put in a position where that wasn't even believable. It's like, Sky, if you can pop shit and you can argue with your aunt all day, bitch, you can definitely read a whole entire college level book, learn how to program, get a whole job, get a whole diploma, and move about your business. Exactly. People don't think like, the system don't think like that. We think like that. The system don't think of, the elders think of, the elders that's tapped in think like that. We can't be programmed. There's the program of you can do anything that you want to do. Did my uncle really believe that I wanted to be a brain surgeon? He didn't know what the hell I wanted to be. Did he believe that I wanted to be the president of the United States? He didn't know what the hell I really wanted to be. I didn't even know what the hell I wanted to be, but he didn't say, oh, I couldn't. So it's the same thing. He didn't say it wasn't going to be no falls. He didn't say it wasn't going to be no downs. And he didn't say it wasn't going to be no resistance. But he damn sure didn't say I couldn't do it. He didn't say, oh, all the things he asked me. He never asked me if I was going to be rich. He never asked me if I was going to be wealthy. So in my mind, as a positive thinker, did he not ask me that because he felt like I couldn't be? Or did he not ask me that because he knew that all of the tools and skills that was provided to me and knowledge was going to provide me with that ability to do that? It was never a question because it was never about money. People have to understand that. You can fuss and fight about money. You can fuss and fight about status. Period. You can argue about that all day. We all had the same opportunities from the same individual. For the most part. Real recognize real. Real recognize real. If you did not get the opportunity initially, it was a system put in place that was going to bring you up anyway. That's real. Real is, I love you so much because you gave me the knowledge necessary to exist, that even if I don't like your offspring, I'm going to give them the information to exist without violation. That's real. But they say real recognize real. I don't see too many. Anyway, I'm about to do this numerology report. I'm chilling. Smooches. Love y'all all. Deuces.